Oz, what's going on, man? We got David in the back room. He's in the green room, right? Eating atheist pizza, talking all this jazz. What's going on, man?
I'm feeling good. I finally recovered from the food comatose from all the ham and potatoes I ate, but I'm feeling good, man. I'm ready to go.
Hey, I don't want to say anything, but I've already got a call coming in. I want to hold on for a second because I want to bring David in and let him christen and get his cherry popped on the first call, okay? But hey, I know you chatted with David backstage. What are you looking for as far as what are you hoping these callers have for you and David tonight?
Tonight, with David and I both have a Bible, a Christian background. I would love to dig into any of the popular topics with Christians, whether it is the slavery or morality or whatever, or it's just why do you believe what you believe? Even if we dig into some of that.
Yeah, and hey, what did you think about David pranking J. Mike and Jess Jeff the other night? I thought, hey, look, he had me going.
Oh, it was perfect when he first called. First called in. T and I were watching it. And I was like, man, I know that voice. And then the longer he went, I was like, no, I don't know that voice. No, he killed
it. You text me and you were like, hey, let me get this guy's information, Pasta.
Yep.
Get this guy's stuff. We got to help this guy out. And as the call went on, Oz literally texted me afterwards and was like, fuck you and fuck Smalley.
Sure did. Those are facts.
Yeah. He can do that Southern voice real well, can't he?
Oh, he like I said, about a quarter way, halfway through the call, he had me hook, line, and sinker.
These Los Angeles boys, most of them aren't even from Los Angeles. I swear to God, he's lived in Texas before. These good old boys.
Yeah, he does that Southern drawl perfectly. He's had to spend a couple days down there.
Yeah, well, look, I want to bring Smalley in to chat with you for a minute. I'm going to get back into the Atheist Green Room, screen some of these calls, and we'll take it from there. How do you feel?
Let's do it.
Sound good?
Yes, sir. What's up, David?
What is up, man? How are you?
Feeling good. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. I would be lying if I said I was great. Been through a lot lately. We can get into some of that if you want me to touch on it. But it was a family tragedy, and then also amazingly great news all in the same week. And it's just been an emotional roller coaster. And so taking a break from all of that craziness to call in and prank those guys was much needed therapy for me. I want you to know that was fun. And I was watching the chat while I was on the phone, and I saw people going, who is that? I know that voice. Someone said, is that Mike Birbiglia? And I was like, yeah, you're not far off, man. This is close. And I figured people would recognize it because that was a character I used to do on my podcast. And I thought about bringing him back soon. And I thought, what better way to do that than to just test out the improv character to see how far I can take these guys. And then about 7.5 minutes into the joke, I started feeling bad. I was like, they're being so sincere and so sweet to me. And they're saying all the right things, that one should say if someone has sort of a crisis like that. And they were so loving and so sweet. On one hand, I was honored to see other atheists in the movement sort of welcome someone, who's a believer their whole life in a positive way. And on the other hand, I was like, I have to somehow make this funny and have an end, an out, what we call an out in the business. I would love to do it, but I didn't have anything other than to just say, this is David C. Smalley. They were so disappointed and angry and laughing at the same time. So I fully expect that all of my calls tonight will just be a bunch of pranks. So
no, it was great. And I will say, I was proud of Jeff and J. Mike, the way they handled it, the way it developed, because they did handle it like pros. And that was great to see. So,
and with love, man, with so much love. They were like, are you familiar with these resources? Immediately started helping. Like, here are some resources. Right. Here's this resource. I was so proud to see them do that. And it wasn't quite as funny as I wanted it to be because it lasted so long that it ended up not being worth the joke, in my opinion. But hopefully when Pasta Mike clips that up into a 30-second version, it'll be hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man, I got a call for you right now, David. I got a young man on the line named CJ. Now,
Okay.
he's an atheist, by the way, but he does have an important question for you. CJ, you're live with David.
Hey, David, what's up?
Hey, CJ, thanks for calling in. What's up?
Hey, I got a question for you. So I've got this classmate of mine. I'm in graduate school, and she's been a diehard Trump supporter since 2016. And when we're in class, like talking about social justice issues and stuff, sorry, it's my dog. She stays pretty silent. She's also Catholic, if that makes any difference. But I've always really wanted to reach out to her about politics and religion, and we've talked a couple times on social media and even over text. And even though she does engage with me for a short while, like on social media, she's usually the one to either stop replying totally or just respectfully end the conversation. She's also, kind of buying into these conspiracy theories about the election, and so I was just wondering, at what point do you just give up on someone and move on to people who may be more interested in dialogue, or at least, as interested in talking with you as you are with them?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I mean, first of all, thanks for having that conversation with her. One of the quotes that I'm most proud of that gets passed around of mine is never pass up the chance to have a conversation, because the next mind you change could change thousands. And that's a realistic thing. That's a thing that I like to live by. But the word never is a little tricky there, right? You could see me say that multiple times on Twitter. You could hear me say that on the podcast. But if you followed me around as a little birdie on my shoulder, there are definitely moments where I go, done with you. I'm blocking you from Twitter, right? Because some people really just seem like they're trolling. They seem like they just want to get a rise out of you. They just want to fight. They want to use you as a platform to springboard their conspiracies. And so you have to know when to cut that line off. And it doesn't seem like she is that type of person. So what I would do, honestly, is just keep engaging, but engage with questions. So not gotcha questions, not threatening questions, but more so along the lines of, how do you reconcile this belief with this behavior from Trump? Or how do you reconcile this idea from Jesus with how Trump behaves in XYZ? And if she doesn't want to talk about it, she doesn't want to talk about it. But when people try to disengage from me, I try to leave them with, well, I hope you figure this out for yourself. And I hope you're able, when you lay your head down at night, that you're able to be okay with these beliefs and these ideas. But I would just recommend you to keep it on the Socratic method. And if you're unfamiliar with that, I would look into it. A lot of it's what I do on my show, but you can have a statement. You can say, here's a fact. You can say, here's a statistic, but end it with a question so that they're thinking. I forgot, it was E.M. Forrester who said, how do I know what I think until I see what I say? So a lot of times these folks haven't really thought through these things until they're having to give you an answer. And so be loving, be peaceful, be respectful, and be a safe landing place for her to say, I don't know. And if she says, I don't know, don't, spike the ball and do the touchdown dance. Really just kind of let her, it's okay. Let her know it's okay to not know. Just say, hey, will you make a note of that? And maybe we can touch base on that next week. I would love to know what you find in your research, and encourage her to do the research, encourage her to think about these issues.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. That's really helpful. I've been trying to do that stuff. I just never know when it's like, okay, she doesn't want to like engage with this stuff. She'd rather just kind of go on she just kind of wants to say what she thinks and then that be that, and she doesn't want to have a debate about it, which I get. I just had one. Yeah, sorry.
That's a really common thing, man. I'll hear people say, like, they'll post something on social media, or they'll say something to me offhand in a phone call, and like they'll say, yeah, well, all those protesters and rioters made the COVID spike. And I go, skirt, hold on. No, let's back up a little bit. And then I go through the data and I talk about the spikes following the Trump rallies. And then I talk about the pictures of people in protests who were wearing masks and some who weren't, and that we condemn those people. We don't elect them to lead our party, but you elected yours to lead your party. Like I would talk about that. And then they go, oh, I didn't come here to debate you. Well, You kind of did when you brought that up, though, right? So that's the thing. I don't let them get away with that. I will call that out. And rather than fighting back with the actual response, sometimes I'll say, look, I know you said you didn't come here to debate, but you did offer this challenge. Do you expect me to not respond? Again, worded as a question. If I had challenged you with something, wouldn't you want to respond? Of course, they're going to say yes. Okay, well, I just want to have an open discussion with you about it like that. And do it that way. But definitely don't let them get away with that. They do it on Facebook all the time. They'll make a post, and then you respond, and they go, I didn't come here to debate you. No, you came here to have your side heard and then to run away. That's fine. But the facts are going to be stated whether you want to stick around for the conversation or not.
Yeah, I really like that. Thank you, David. I just had one quick thing right before we log off, and thanks for your time today. Did you happen to patent dogma debate?
Yes. Leave it alone.
Damn it. I really want to steal it. I love that name so much.
It's registered. Right. It's registered to the U.S. Library of Congress, and it's still a segment on the David C. Smalley podcast. So it's not up for grabs. I'm sorry.
Damn, I'll have to be creative, I guess. All right, man. Thanks. Appreciate it so much.
Hey,
thanks.
CJ.
Have a good night.
CJ, thanks for calling in, man. And when atheists call in, they do get a round of applause on the way out. So thanks a lot, man. We appreciate it. Take it easy,
thanks,
man.
Y'all. Have a good one.
David, appreciate that, man. I'm going to go back and check for some more calls, my friend.
Cool. Go for it. Yeah. Huge thanks to Pasta Mike for running this whole thing, man. I would not be able to do this without him. And of course, I'm so honored that Oz is joining me today, man. I really am. So thank you guys.
No, we love having you, man. So it's always fun when you're here. And I was telling Pasta earlier, a lot of your content, your material I've watched is actually more of these discussions, and you're a beast in your own right, on these type of formats. So I was like, when he said that, I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. But before the next caller, David, you kind of brought it up, and the first thing that I want to do, because this first one-on-one conversation that you and I have had since. But first of all, my condolences, and you've actually been in my thoughts frequently, leading up, especially going to the holidays and all that with the loss you and your family experienced. So I don't want to take any of that away from you. If you share what you want to share, what you feel free to share, and then you also share the flip side. I know you have a new show coming up, some exciting stuff coming up too. So take time and talk about what you want to talk about.
Sure. I appreciate that, Oz. You handled that very professionally, man. That was great. That for so many reasons that people outside of the industry wouldn't really tap into, you walk that line really well. I just want to tell you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So this is my first public thing really even dealing with it. And I planned on doing some sort of big podcast about it, which I still may do in detail. And I will say that the issue at hand is actually still under investigation. Even though there are some media reports about what happened, there is definitely some things in the media that are false about what happened, and some that are true, and the rest we don't know, and it's under investigation. So I am limited as to what I can talk about. But for those who don't follow my social media or haven't seen, my son died November 11th. He was not biologically mine. I raised him from 8 months old. His name was Braden, and he was 20 years old, and he was killed in a motorcycle accident. And the events surrounding the details surrounding the event, like I said, are still under investigation. But we are mourning together as a family. It was extremely heartbreaking. My daughter's only 16, and to experience the loss of a brother at such a young age is just devastating. And his mother and I are divorced. But I raised him from 8 months old all the way to 18 when he moved out and got his own place. So it's been a hard thing to go through. And it's also, simultaneously, yesterday would have been his 21st birthday. So, here we are on November 26th on Thanksgiving Day would have been his 21st birthday. And we just lost him 2 weeks before on the 11th. So it was really difficult. And so nobody knows how to process this stuff. Nobody knows how to deal with it. And
No.
like his services are tomorrow. We're going to an undisclosed location. A very small group of people are going to get together. And when you go to a funeral, you go to a memorial service, and it's really formal and it's really uncomfortable, and there's a casket in the room, and it's just no one feels good about being there. It's very bizarre. Some people are crying, some people are holding it back. If you've lived a life and you've had that happen a few times throughout your life as an adult, what you'll find is when most of the people go home that barely knew the person, and then there's just a small gathering of people sitting around with the ties loose, changed into their sweatpants, and they're sitting around having a beer, just talking about the memories of that person. That's the good stuff. That's
Mhm.
what you really take away when people start laughing and saying, "Man, I remember this one time when he did this, or he pranked you, or remember that time he called you an asshole," and everybody just starts laughing and remembering that person informally. And so that's basically what we're doing tomorrow. We're taking out all the weird, uncomfortable stuff. We're meeting at a place he liked to go with a bunch of his friends and family, and we're just gonna do the good stuff. We've asked people to dress informally to be comfortable. There's gonna be some chicken sandwiches that he loved, and we're just gonna hang out and talk about him. That's what I would want. We believe that's what he would have wanted. He wasn't a religious kid at all. He was only 20 years old. But this year for Thanksgiving, the only person that I hadn't normally been around with his grandmother. She actually flew out for the memorial services tomorrow, so she was in town. So we invited her over, and I made his favorite barbecue bacon burgers. We had that for Thanksgiving because it was his favorite food. And other than that, man, we're just taking it day by day and processing it. So yeah, it's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to process, and if you have any questions, I'll talk to you about that now before I get into the next thing. But that's kind of where we are as a family right now.
Well, David, actually, this is a coincidence, but the caller we have on the line here, Mindy, which I'll bring on in a second, her question ties in perfectly to this circumstance.
Okay.
So Mindy is an atheist, and she has a question about how to deal with grief when it comes to something similar. And she has a question for both you guys. So let me bring her into the stream.
Yeah, let's do it.
Mindy, you're live.
Hi,
Hey there, how are you?
can you hear me?
Hey, Mindy.
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right, as best as I can considering the circumstances. How are you?
Yeah, well, I'm okay. I wanted to say I really, really love your podcast. I'm a new Patreon subscriber, so
Awesome,
But-
thank you.
Yeah. I just had a question, and I guess you can kind of relate, even though the situation's slightly different. My dad was recently diagnosed with cancer for the second time, and it's pretty bad this time around. I mean, it's always bad, but his treatments are very aggressive, and his cancer counts are not going down. And he lives in Missouri, and I live in Arkansas, and I also teach, and so I potentially, could be exposed to COVID, and so it's not like I can just go home whenever because he's immune compromised. And I just, I'm kind of dealing with like anticipatory grief, and it's really hard because, people will tell me like, oh, we're praying for you, we're praying for him. And I'm like, I don't really know if that's going to work, and this is kind of like the first sort of big thing that I've dealt with since I've really become a firm atheist. And And so I'm just finding that, you know, especially because it's my dad, like I would describe it as anticipatory grief, but it's really weird because I know you're not a counselor, but I guess like just, I don't know. It's weird. I find myself being confused about a lot of things.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to say to you is I'm sorry you're going through that. The second thing is there are no right answers.
Yeah.
The first thing that hit me, and I'll definitely let Oz pop in here if he wants to chime in, because this can definitely be a group conversation. But the first thing I noticed is that grief does not come in stages. That is bullshit. You don't finish a stage and then go, oh, that was tough. I'm glad that's over. And then move into phase 2. It comes in waves. And I mentioned this online. I said it comes in waves for what feels like forever. And
yeah,
I had moments where when it first happened, I was like super strong. I was like, well, we got to start taking care of stuff. I was with a tear in my eye. I was shocked. I was stunned. But it was like, I got to get stuff done. I got to be the rock. I got to be the strong one. I got to handle stuff. There's things that need to happen. And then day 2, like I was able to go to sleep the first night. It was really bizarre. And then day 2, I was doing something relatively minor. And then it hit me. And I just could not stop crying. It was really hard. I would try to form a sentence about something I'd said to my son, and I was trying to get him to understand. And then part of me was like, and now he never will. I can never have that conversation again. And that just broke me. And then for like 20 minutes, I was just a mess. And then I was fine for 4.5 hours. And then I get on the phone with an insurance company and I have to go, oh, well, he didn't have this coverage, but he had this coverage. And then I'm saying something that I remember him telling me, and then I just break down again. There are counselors who can help you with grief. There are books with ideas on how to process grief. There's even an organization called Grief Beyond Belief. I don't know if they're still doing their thing or what, but there are things out there that can help, but there's no right way to grieve. Even as we had 4 people, just me, my daughter, my ex-wife, and my ex-wife's mom in the house yesterday, we were all at different levels. We were all processing it differently. We were all like, some of us would be willing to discuss the concept of cremation, and others didn't even want to consider it. It's really tough. So
yeah,
as far as talking with the Christians who are saying that they're praying for you, I just think, I really do, because they don't mean anything condescending by it. In their worldview, and
right.
you've been there before, and I've been there before, and so is Oz. That's a really nice thing to say to somebody.
Yeah,
Them taking time to put you into their nightly prayers is really a sweet thing. It really is. And so I appreciate that. And I'll tell you, one of my proudest moments on my show is when John and Adam were debating on episode 500 near the end. I think it was near the end. And they both said that my show has changed their responses to people whenever something bad happens. Rather than just saying, I'm going to pray for you, they say, now because of my show, they say, I'll pray for you, comma, and let me know if you need anything. Because I stress that over and over. Do the prayer, that's fine, but be of use to the person's life. And don't just assume you know what they want and do it. Ask them what they want, what they need. Here's an idea. Do you want this? Do you want that? And let the person tell you yes or no. But there's no perfect right answer. There really is no perfect right answer. Just going through the paces with your family. trying not to bite back, because I know if you're still a new atheist, there's still sort of an angry atheist phase that you go through. And when you go through a tragedy and someone says, oh, he's in a better place now, you want to rip their face off.
Yeah.
I know that. I will turn to someone like that and say, I'm not interested in a religious discussion. I'm really not. I will stop that.
Right.
I've had to tell multiple people at the mortuary as well. They start talking about faith and all the Christian emblems that they want to bring. And I go, we aren't Christians. My son wasn't a Christian. We're not going to do that. It's going to be a secular service. And they say, oh, okay, well, that's fine. You guys, your faith must be so strong. I'll say, excuse me, we don't have faith. And we're not a religious family. I never get nasty with them, even though inside I'm like, I've already told you, like I'm thinking it, I feel it, but I know that they're just not used to us. We're very new to the world still, and it being more widely accepted is hard for people to wrap their heads around. Just like in the trans community, when people look at an atheist who they see as a progressive and a friendly, and suddenly the pronoun changes that we've been used to, as progressive as we may be, we're going to make mistakes. And they are always gracious, at least to me and many of the people I know, say, it's okay. I know it's new to you. They don't jump on me. They don't call me names. They don't fight me for it. They say, I understand this is new for you. It's okay. We have to offer that same level of grace. And I know that's a funny word to use, but we have to offer that same level of grace and be able to. I still ask Christians if they will help me with stuff. For sure. Can you help me go down the street and get this? Can you pick this up while I'm doing this? And when they say yes, and I'm going to say a prayer for you, I say, I really appreciate that. Thank you. So it's not a time to fight. It's really not. It's not a time to get into an argument or to get into a debate about religion and all of this other stuff. It's about celebrating and honoring the person that we're losing. That really should be the goal. And that's the best response sometimes when they say, where are you going to start coming to church now? Or if they start that at any point, rather than having a religious debate, I think a great response is, I'm sorry, this is about celebrating the person we've lost.
Yeah. I mean, my dad is, he's really, really determined, and he's a really strong person. And, he's holding his own, and I actually, he's getting medical marijuana, which has helped him immensely. And I'm just really trying to savor all of the time that I do have with him. I'm as silly as it might be. I mean, because nobody knows what's going to happen. I mean, the treatments, we have no idea if the treatments are going to work. So we're kind of in this weird limbo phase right now, especially the second time. But
you mind if I ask a question?
I'm sorry?
You mind if I ask a question?
Yeah.
And I know this is morbid and this is bizarre, but it's something that I saw my sister go through with her dad. Does your dad have a person that's going to make these decisions? Is he married? Is he still with your mom? Does he have is there a clear hierarchy and will and everything in line? And when I say everything, I mean I know this sounds crazy, but I mean financials, bank passwords, are the wishes clear? Is he legally and financially ready for all of this? Because that kind of thing can absolutely tear a family apart. If people can't find access to certain things, they don't know what he wanted to do with property, and it can be bad. My sister, who is religious, just bit the bullet one day and went in and talked to her dad. Look, it's clear that you're not going to make it very far. We hope some miracle happens, Dad, but just in case, what do you want to happen with this? And what do you want to happen with that? And you may be surprised as to how at peace some of these folks are with those types of discussions. And he was able to give her everything, like logins to his 401k in his bank to be able to pay bills and pay things off, because a lot of people don't think about that. When you die, the next person in line has to handle everything that was headed your way, whether it's bills, money in and out, insurance policies. It becomes such a nightmare. And we've been dealing with that since November 11th. so many things that person had coming in the mail and up against logins and access, and on top of grieving, you're trying to solve the most difficult puzzles of hacking into someone else's life, and it's so overwhelming, and a lot of times it takes weeks to get the death certificates to prove that you are the person who has that legal rights and access, and so it can be a nightmare. So the oddly morbid question I'm asking is, as the atheist in the family, are you being, I guess, pragmatic about, okay, let's prep for this so that we can reduce stress on the family?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that he already has a will. I know that like him and my mom are married and everything, and
Okay.
they share a house, of course. And I did talk to my mom about like power of attorney and that kind of thing. And so I do think that I haven't asked too many detailed questions, but my dad is very, very OCD about finances. And so I am sure that he has that covered. They don't have a mortgage or anything. Their house is paid off. I mean, they really don't have any debt at all. So, but yeah, he's very, very money savvy. So I'm sure that he has all that taken care of. I just know like my mom is like losing her shit. Like Thanksgiving was kind of terrible because she was just biting everyone's head off, and she's been doing that for like several months now, and it's really, really hard to deal with. And
I know there's
I've
so
tried
much,
like,
but there's so much on her plate,
yeah,
everybody's hurting, everybody's stressed out, but she's not only on the cusp of losing her lifetime partner, but also realizing that she's going to have to take the weight of managing the estate. Like literally everything legally falls on her. Everything. Every decision. And it's a lot for someone to deal with. So I know that she's a lot right now. The best thing you can do is just love her. Just be there
yeah.
and love her. It's so hard, I know, because I know
I'm trying to get her set up with like counseling and therapy, and she's like really having a hard time taking the initiative to do it. And I'm trying my best, to help her, but like I don't know if she just, I don't know. That's a whole other, I think she also, my parents are in their 70s, and so things are just not as easy for her as they used to be. And yeah, I'm trying to really, like, I guess, do what I can in terms of like, I record all of my dad's phone conversations with me. I've started like writing him letters every day and mailing them because he's really weird and he loves to check the mail, even if it's just bills. And so I write him letters and I send him letters and, funny little things. I mean, we talk on the phone at least once, if not twice a day. So I'm just trying to soak all that up as much as I can, because the last thing I want is there to be any regrets on my part that I didn't say what I needed to say or tell him what, I wanted to tell him. If it doesn't get to the point, if it gets to the point where he's, getting worse.
I want to say just one more thing about that. And for anybody who's going through that, where it's a very long, slow, agonizing process. I know that's hard. I know it's really hard to deal with, but I've lost my son so abruptly and unexpectedly. And I lost my dad so abruptly and unexpectedly. My dad called me. It was June 2018. We talked around Father's Day. And then a few days later, he called me. He was like, man, I haven't been feeling too good. I went to the doctor and they're going to have my results next Tuesday. And I was like, all right, cool. And he's like, do you know of anything I can do to like help my heart feel a little bit better. And I was like, yeah, Dad, it's a, everybody thinks of it as an organ, but it's also a muscle. You can work it out and go for a walk. And he's like, well, I walk around Home Depot. And I was like, okay, just try to do a little more walking. And he's like, I just don't want to die. He said that to me on the phone, and he
Mm.
started to cry a little bit. And I was like, Dad, it's like, you're not going to die. Like the doctors are going to take care of you. You're going to be fine. And he just straightened up and was like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't worry about it. And he cut it off. He choked it all down. And 6 days later, he died. And that was literally my last phone
Wow.
conversation with my dad. And he wasn't married. And all of the estate stuff fell on me to make all these decisions. And it was a nightmare. And I never got that opportunity to sit down and talk to him about some stuff that I wish we had talked about earlier on. I mean, he was only 69 years old. I feel like I thought I had a few more years to sit down and have those conversations. And my son only being 20, I mean, yeah, there were times we didn't get along and stuff I wanted to say to him, and he's gone. And so,
Yeah.
as bad as it hurts to go through a slow process like that, I want you to know that it's it's in a weird way, it gives you at the very least, while it may be more suffering technically from a consequentialist, moral perspective, it may be more suffering. It does give you time to wrap some things up so that you're not thinking about things for the rest of your life, like I know I'm going to. You know what I mean? So find, if you can,
Right.
sort of atheist blessing in all of this, to just say whatever the hell you've always wanted to say to your dad. You have a chance right now. If I could go back in time knowing when I was going to lose these two people, I would definitely have said things differently. I would have said more. I would have stopped conversations when they should have stopped, and changed them, and said I love you, and said the things that I wish I would have said. And you have that opportunity. So as bad as this is, just welcome this as a way to embrace some of those uncomfortable moments, because it won't be nearly as bad as you think it is, or as bad as it could be if you don't say it.
Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And
I do find it.
Mindy, if I could just say one or two things real quick, and because David nailed it, gave tons of great advice there. And I know it sounds like most of your family and friends, or at least your sphere of influence, are believers, Christians. And one thing, keep in the back of your mind that I try to remember now when I'm going through these processes, is they kind of have this extra layer that's infused or injected that hinders them from really going through a true grieving process the way an atheist would. And it sounds crazy at first, but if think about what the Bible teaches on grief and mourning. It says, the Bible says that if you're a Christian, we do not mourn the way the world mourns, referring to non-believers. So there's already this thing that's infused there, they're not supposed to weep and mourn and process that the way I guess we do. So there's kind of that. So you have to remember that when you're going through it, is you have to be sensitive to what their beliefs in that. And even though that sucks for the ones that don't believe, we have to keep that in the back of their mind. And then to kind of pivot on that, there is no grieving or mourning process, as David already said. And if there was one way of doing it, one process of doing it, and we had a step-by-step booklet on how to do this, I think it would make it easier for everybody that has to deal with these situations. So keep those things in the back of your mind. And the last thing I'll say is, first of all, I'm sorry, we're sorry that you're having to go through this with your dad. It's terrible, and it absolutely sucks. And my encouragement to you will be to create as many memories as you can, like you're doing with the voicemails and the letters. That way, when and if that day does come, you get to do what David talked about, where you sit around and you get to talk about all the good things and create those memories. And, I would also encourage that if he does or doesn't have an iPad or an iPhone or whatever, where he's at, to where anybody and everybody that means something to him, that he could FaceTime them or you can FaceTime him, at any moment, to be able to continue to make those memories, have those conversations real time, even in the midst of COVID, and be able to do that. And some of those you could probably even, record those so you can look back on them. But again, very, very sorry that you and your family are going through that. But I love what you said about your mom. Do seek some type of talk therapy, because when you're going through something like this, the more you talk about it and you process it, I won't say it gets any easier, but it lessens that, I guess, that feeling in your chest and your gut that you have, almost all day, every day. It starts to relieve that. So that would be my encouragement. Talk therapy, I think, is something that's highly, highly underrated in these circumstances.
And Mindy, thank you so much for calling in. I know we were chatting backstage, and you said you're a huge fan of David's podcast, and he's got to have at least one cool fan. So we really do appreciate you calling in. David's a cool guy. Look, we're gonna actually open it up now. We're hoping that some theists call in. So if you've got any theist friends, drop them a line. And Mindy, please call back again. You can call into the Atheist Roundtable as well. We'd love to chat with you. Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it.
And again, they're going to get a round of applause every time. But hey, David, one of the things I was going to ask you, man, you are an actor. You're an actor. It says it in your bio, so I'm going to believe it. But dude, you killed it on that call the other day, dude. What in the world? I was blown away. I was like, okay, is this your buddy? Like, I know you told me ahead of time, but
yeah, no, that was just a character that I did for a while on my show, man. His name is the Confused Pastor. He has his own Twitter. You can go follow him at Confused Pastor. And he calls into the show sometimes, and he tries to show me a Bible verse and convert a bunch of heathens, and he tends to have a hard time doing so. So
well, I tell you what, you got me stumped, and J Mike was very disappointed because he's normally pretty clever. But look, shout out to J Mike. He was in the chat earlier. And I also want to bring up that we have David C. Smalley fans over here on the left. And we have, but wait a minute. I guess we end up on the right, Oz. You used to support Trump anyway. So, and we got the Tart guys over on the right. So we got two streams going. So big shout out to both chat groups. They're all intermingled. So thank you for joining the live stream. And we have David's new love interest. He picked her up. Where'd you pick her up at? Beautiful little thing. Look at this guy.
From a shelter in Mesquite, Texas.
Oh, look at that.
Texas. Her name is Nyla. And she likes me a lot. And she's about 8 years old. She's a miniature poodle. Fantastic.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
She likes atheists.
She does. She's a Christian, by the way.
Hey, that's okay. So, guys, let's see what callers we got here. I want to take a little quick peek. I think we had some text messages. Who is Tia Mills?
At some point, I am going to have to address this giant pimple on my face.
Oh, hold on. That's a pimple?
That is, yeah, it's not another human growing out of my face. That is, I don't know if you can see it. It's awful.
If anyone wants to know.
What's that?
I said, if anyone wants to know what, in fact, the Atheist Roundtable is, well, it's on David's face.
It all happens in there. Yeah. No, this happens every single time I book. This happens every single time I book a role. What's this music? Yeah, that music is super loud.
I'm so sorry about that.
Every time I book a role, I get a giant pimple. Every time.
Oh, it happens? Hold on. Who have we got here? You're live with David Smalley.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, God.
Oh, no. No.
No. Genuine question. Question. I think this will actually be a really good conversation.
Hold on a second. Is this David? I've muted him. Is this an instant hang up, or are we allowed?
No, let's see what his question is, but let's just make it quick. I don't want it to be the David and John show again.
No. I don't want that either.
Okay.
But this is just something I was thinking about. So And I asked this in the comment section, and some people were like, what would that look like? So, for example, something we have within churches. Obviously, I'm a Christian. Obviously, I'm a theist. For those who don't know me, I'm a youth pastor. But within the Christian community, we have churches. We have a once a week or twice a week thing where we meet and we have community. We have other people that we have relationships with outside of just our family that we can call really close friends because we constantly see them over and over. Mm-hmm. From what I understand about the atheist community, all you have primarily, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is you have maybe conventions once a year where atheists can go, but there's not really a weekly thing that you could do twice a week or once a week with other atheists. And I'm not calling it atheist church, but just from a humanist perspective, from the idea of how important community is, how important it is to have people come alongside you and help you with situations just like we've been talking about tonight, help you with problems, help you with financial issues. There is a consistency within the community that church brings.
So, John,
my question is, why doesn't that exist for the atheist community?
It does exist. It does.
It does. Okay.
Yeah, Meetup is filled with atheist groups that meet every single week. There are tons and tons and tons. There's probably, I would estimate like 200 atheist groups, and that's just me pulling a number out of thin air. And I'm going to try to find these meetup groups. There are tons, John. There are local meetup groups at atheist.org /atheist groups, meetup groups. There are Facebook groups. There's Kansas City Oasis, Houston Oasis, Sunday Assembly, where they literally do weekly like services where they play music. They talk about science. Kids like build robots and do slime. There are tons of those all over the place.
I've never heard of one in my life.
Yeah, we don't typically invite people like you.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I right before COVID took over, I'd started to attend one here where I live, and was in the process of starting one. In the first week that I was going to have one that I started, everything got froze because of COVID. So they by all means they exist.
Yeah. So John, if
gotcha.
that's all
Okay.
you got, if that's all you got, John, I mean, there you go.
So John,
I mean, if you want that to be all I have, that's fine.
Hey, John,
how about that?
Just looked it up in my area because this is a really conservative portion of California that I'm in. I just looked it up, and in the little county, the county area, I'm in LA County, but in the subsection that I'm in, there's an atheist and free thinkers group, and there are 243 members within less than 8 miles or 10 miles of my home. That gives you any idea. They're spread out all over the country.
Yeah, because and my point is, like I said, I'm not making a debate of like, oh, why aren't atheists like churches? That's not the point of my call. The point of my call is I think it's important to have community no matter what. Whether you're Christian, whether you're atheist, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Hindu, it doesn't really matter. Whether you're even agnostic and you don't really know. I think the community side that really Christianity has kind of brought to the table in a lot of ways, because we've talked about that before, in how Christianity marketed and why there are churches on every street corner, why there are people that gather there every single week, and the consistency of it. And I think primarily that it's massively important just for human beings' mental states in general. So if that's all you want from me, you can take another call.
Yeah, we definitely want to take another call. But thanks for your insight and being wrong again on this show. That's always great.
I didn't make any claims.
Yeah, you did. You said atheists have that.
No, I clearly asked a question. I said, why aren't?
And then backed it up with,
this is clearly inquisitive.
No, I'm glad you brought up the issue because people may be listening and just not know. But there's the Coalition of Reason. There's Atheists United. There are international atheist groups that are nonprofit organizations that actually help people escaping Islamic-led countries so that they don't get killed for being a non-believer. And we secretly like raise money and buy them plane tickets and sneak them out of countries. Like there are phone calls I've been on like behind the scenes where we've helped people that I could never talk about because it literally puts their life in danger. There are humanists, atheists doing amazing things to literally save lives all over the world. And in this country, it typically tends to turn into about 30 of us meet up at a local pub and bitch about our religious family members because it's therapeutic and we can't talk about it anywhere else. But it's still good for us. It's still good for people to get that stuff off their chest, to be able to call, to be able to talk about election and politics with people who are not going to throw you under the bus. We're everywhere, John, literally everywhere, including your church.
Zero magic as well. No magic.
And we ain't going nowhere.
God, is he still on the line?
No. So anyway, yeah, I was being inquisitive more so.
All right,
and I am surprised. I will say that I'm surprised to learn what you told me in certain ways. So
cool.
Well, we love you, John.
That's fine.
We love
you guys. Move right along, you heathens.
Pastor John, everybody.
Yeah. No applause for Pastor John.
No applause.
Oh,
he gets the boo.
So anyway,
laughter for Pastor John. This
is what I was going to get into before we got rudely interrupted with a wrong Christian. And if you're Christian, you're watching this, trust us, please. We don't treat all Christians this way, just the ones we really love. We love John a lot, but
love.
I booked a role on a sitcom.
I got a call coming in. Let me take it real quick.
Okay. We booked a role on a sitcom. I booked a role on a sitcom and then the pimple showed up. And I hope this goes away before we start filming. That's the end of that story.
Yeah. Before Joan, that likes to have 4-year-olds sit on his lap while he talks about sex with dead bodies, called in. I just thought you got shot with a BB gun. That's what I thought. And then you said it was a pimple. I was like, well, the BB gun would have sounded better.
I could totally just say that. That sounds way cooler. Yeah, that's way cooler.
But before Pasta jumps back in, and thank you for sharing your transparency, everything, your story, what your family's going through. Again, mine and the Tart team, our condolences and thoughts with you guys, even moving forward. But I know you just had some exciting news pop off for you. Before Apostle jumps into the call, please share.
Yeah, I kind of just did. I booked a role on a major sitcom. It's a kids show. It's one episode so far, and the sad thing about this is my publicist has asked me to not share the info yet. I put a little bit on Instagram already.
The sad thing about this is my publicist has asked me to
I'm hearing better audio now. It's probably a pasta mic.
a little bit on Instagram already.
Pasta mic, we're gonna have to fix this audio situation.
Yeah, Pasta, your computer's playing out loud. There we go.
Goodness gracious. We got to send him to production school, I think.
Hey, I'm sorry. I do have a caller on the line. I don't know what happened there. Something went wrong, but I have a caller on the line. Let me bring her in. We got Naya, and she has an interesting question about coming out. She's an atheist. She's what she's referring to as a baby atheist, not to be confused with a cradle atheist. And she's got some questions for you guys about how to approach, discussing this with her parents, friends, and so forth.
All right, let's do it.
How to approach.
That might be what it is. Naya, do you have your YouTube on as well? You might have to mute that. That probably is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead and mute that. So I apologize. Yeah.
That's all right. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm Mia. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right.
Very good.
All right. So I like to call myself a baby atheist and a little new to atheism. But my question is, if I should come out to my family and let them know that I'm atheist and like my close friends. My family, they are Christians. And that's all really my family's ever been. And they're not really die hard. They're not really like evangelical or anything like that. They just identify with Christianity. And I do remember being a kid and just growing up, they would always say, I don't care what you believe in as long as you believe in a God of some sort. So they never really care about like what other religions that people are. They just want you to believe in something. So I'm just not sure whether or not I should let my family know or like how they would react to me being atheist.
Go ahead, Oz. You can take it first, and then I'll
Okay.
on this one.
Well, as far as coming out, I always tell people the best thing is do it the way you feel comfortable. Don't let anyone pressure you into communicating or quote unquote coming out if you're not comfortable to do it or you're not ready to do it, because it really depends on the family dynamic. So you if I heard you correctly, you said your family were Christians, but not the over the top hyper spiritual Christians like what I grew up with. Ours was very much the high octane evangelical type Christians.
Your Christianity was 93. It's good.
Yeah. So my coming out was, it was tough, because I was expected to, well, I have a lineage of ministers in my family, my brother, my uncle, great grandpa, so on and so forth. So there's this expectation of me to be in the ministry and be this great Christian man. So it was quite the process. So the reason I say that each situation is going to be its own thing, case by case. But what I'll tell you is you have to be able to look in the mirror and say, okay, I'm confident, in where I'm at. And I went through the process of critical thinking, applying logic and reason, and how did I get to this place that I no longer believe? Just like from an atheist position, we ask people, why do you believe? You need to take yourself through that same process of questioning. And how did you get there? And why do I no longer believe in what I once believed in? And once you know that you're there and you're confident in your lack of belief in a God, a deity, or a supernatural, then at that time you can announce it to whomever you decide that you want to announce that to. Now that in mind, it doesn't need to be a spectacle. You don't need to go on a social media tour, so to speak, like I've seen some people do, and announce it to the world that, you're now an atheist and it become kind of a combative thing or a nasty thing. It could be one of those situations where it just comes up in natural conversations where people are having a conversation about religion or faith or, what have you. And you just simply insert that, I just no longer believe anymore, and I respect your right to believe what you want, but I'm not there right now. And you'll get some pushback, and if you do, I always said then when I was going through that process, I don't want to have that conversation with you right now. Once I'm prepared to have that and I'm ready to have that, then we can engage in that. But I just ask that you respect my boundaries that I'm setting right now, and I don't want to do that right now. So, like I said, it's case by case. But do what you feel like is the most healthy thing for you to do as far as timing.
I have a little bit of
great. That's a great answer. Thank
I have
you.
a little bit of a different approach. It sounds like you can safely come out. Like, that was a little bit like my family. My family was religious, but it wasn't like it wasn't like forcing me to go to church, and it wasn't like if you ever don't come to church, you're going to be, cut out of the will and thrown out of the house, and you're going to be homeless or Christian. Like, it was never that hardcore. But my approach would be for you, and tailored to your situation, because you said something really interesting, and I wrote it down here. You said they want you to believe in something. And I think that's a common misconception. I think most believers think that when you're an atheist, you believe in nothing. And that's there's a video online I would love for you to go find. It's of Todd Stiefel. He's a dear friend of mine, and it's called What We Believe. Something along those lines. If you do Todd Stiefel, What We Believe, there's something, I believe it was at the Reason Rally that he gave a speech. We believe in a lot of things. And I think it would be important for you to maybe look up the Humanist Manifesto and take some things out of that you strongly support and believe in. Watch that video of Todd's and write down the things you agree with, the things that you believe in. And in your situation, I think the safest way, this is just my advice to you, would be to sit down and talk to your family about what you do believe in. So sit down and say, look, I know you've always said it was important for me to have a belief in something. I want to talk to you about what I believe in. I believe in loving people no matter what their views are. I believe in science. I trust experts for the most part, but I also believe in fact-checking those experts. I believe in being there for humanity. I believe that there is something bigger than me, and it's all of us together collectively as human beings. I support the ideas of evolution. I believe in love. I believe in peace. I believe we can do better than we're doing right now. But I do not consider myself a Christian. And I love you anyway. Let them ask questions then. But I would put the focus on what you do believe in and show them all of those positive properties up front. Because I can tell you, there have been tons of times where I meet people and I don't tell them I'm an atheist. And for months, we're talking, we're doing stuff, I'm helping them with things. And then one day it comes up in casual conversation and I go, yeah, I'm an atheist. And they go, but you're so nice. Like, can you expect me to have a tail and pointy claws and horns? Like, what do you think an atheist looks like? So I think from your perspective, since your family wants you to have belief in something, figure out what you do believe in and start with that. And then the lack of belief in the deity is really the afterthought.
Hey, thank you so much. That was some great advice that I will definitely be thinking about. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Thank you for calling.
So let's get back to the kids show, David. I want to hear about this.
Yeah. So I'll be able to talk about it a little bit more when I'm done filming, and even more when it comes out. But it's a pretty popular kids show. And I'm on one episode. Of course, I'm a bad guy because of
the pimple.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's what got me the role.
Okay.
This face just screams bad. The first national commercial I booked was for Ring Security, and I'm a bad guy in that commercial. It's playing on CNN like 6 or 7 times a day. I'm a burglar in that commercial. But this is a really cool. It's a really cool show. It's a really popular show, and what I was saying before the caller is my publicist has said, don't tell anyone about it ahead of time. And I was like, oh, come on, I really want to push this and promote it and tell everybody what I'm working on. And she's like, David, she's like, you have so many people who just want to see you crash and burn. She's like, just if you start saying who it's with and the name of the show, and she's like, you have no idea how many people are going to try to call production and tweet at them, and this guy's a racist, and who knows what lies people are going to come up with to try to just shut me down. Like, it's happened so often. Even during charity events, there are trolls that try to shut down charity events. I was giving a talk in Milwaukee, and a bomb threat was called in. It was a fake one, but it was called in to shut down. I was going to be on a panel with like 4 other people, and they're just these activists that feel like if they get me canceled, they've done something good for humanity, and I can't figure out why. And when I try to engage them directly and say, tell me what happened, everything they tell me is not anything I actually believe. It's things that they thought I believed. And it's just such a bizarre thing. So the activism is so strong the anti-me activism, I can't even really share it until it comes out, and then I can say, "There's the thing that I worked on." And I hope everybody goes and watches it, and if they don't have it, I hope they go buy it. But all I can say is go follow me on Twitter, David C. Smalley, and when it comes out, I'll be tweeting links all over the place, and I hope you go enjoy it. But yeah, I'm filming essentially all next week, and I get to be a bad guy on a sitcom, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
And damn it, as soon as you said bad guy, I knew, because you said, kids program, whatever. I was hoping you were going to be one of the new, introducing as one of the new guys on the Wiggles. Like my kids love the Wiggles when they're little, but now I'm disappointed. I thought I was going to see you on the Wiggles.
I will say too, there's this is my first time saying these words into a microphone, by the way. I've tweeted about this. I've shared very coded language about it. Finally, a video came out. I've been working on a project for about a year now. There is a brand new project coming out. It's called Code Black, The Journey. And again, it's just a teaser. But what I'll tell you is when the director finally tweeted out the teaser video, he used hashtag Code Black and hashtag Power Rangers.
Uh-oh.
And that's all I can say.
Go Power Rangers. Yeah, I'm hip.
21.
Okay.
And if you're wondering, no, I don't look very good in spandex, but it's a fun part. So.
Hopefully we just get like chest torso up like we do here on video.
Yeah, no, I'm not the guy. I'm not that. But
okay.
It's a fun role, and I'm not gonna. I'll get punched in the head if I say anything else. But just follow my stuff, follow my social media, follow my Instagram. Everything's David C. Smalley. You can go to Facebook. I believe it's facebook.com/Dogma Debate still from the old title for my Facebook page. Go follow everything, and I'll be putting stuff out as soon as stuff is available. But I'm limited as to what I can say right now. But yeah, that audition for the sitcom. Literally came the day my son died. And it came in the morning, and I set up my ring light and everything to do the audition. And there was a wrinkle in the curtain behind me, and Talissa was helping me do it. And she's like, "Dad, that wrinkle is really, distracting." And I was like, "All right, let's steam it out, and we'll come back in a little bit." We started to steam it out, and then we got busy with other stuff, and then her mom picked her up, and she went to spend time with her mom. And then she called me later that evening and gave me the news about my son. In a strange twist of fate, my daughter and ex-wife actually drove by the scene of the accident and recognized his motorcycle. So there was no knock at the door or call from police. They saw it and went, "I think that's his bike." And they asked the officers there. They made them sit there for like 45 minutes. And then the officers came walking towards Brandy, who's my ex-wife, came walking towards her with my son's backpack. And it's just gut-wrenching, But that's how they found out. And I had my ring light set up ready to do this audition. And I was like, yeah, no. The whole world stopped. The next day I was really losing it. Like I said, that's when the wave sort of hit me the first time. And I finally left around like 8:30, 9 o'clock on Thursday night. That was Wednesday that it happened. Thursday night. And my manager calls me and she's like, "Hey, I understand you haven't done the audition yet. It's due tomorrow morning." And I was like, "Yeah, I had some pretty bad news. Hit me pretty hard yesterday." And I told her what happened. She was like, "Oh my gosh, David, like that's terrible."
Yeah.
And we had a moment of like, "My condolences, and I'm so sorry." And then we listened to we just went through she listened to me, I listened to her. We talked about our losses. And then she just goes, "So are you going to do the audition?" And I was like, "I don't think I can, And then I thought back, my daughter had a job interview, her first real legit job interview also that morning, Thursday morning. So it happened Wednesday evening at about 6 p.m. And my daughter had a job interview scheduled for the next morning. And she still did it. I took her. She did it.
Wow.
And she was honest in the job interview about what had happened and that she lost her brother. And the woman was like, oh, well, then we can reschedule. And she's like, no. I don't want to miss this opportunity.
Wow.
And my daughter was so strong and pushed through that she was really my inspiration. And I was telling my manager about Talissa's strength through all that. And as I was telling her, I was like, yeah, I can do it too. I was like, let me get home. I went to get some food. I was like, let me get home and feed them, and I'll knock this out. And so someday I'll make the audition public after the show comes out, because some of the dialogue is in the episode, and I can't share anything like that until after it comes out. Someday I'll make it public, and you'll see that I look like a wreck. I haven't had a whole lot of sleep. My eyes are red. I have bags under my eyes. I've clearly been crying. And here I am doing an audition for a sitcom where I'm having to be a bad guy, but an over-the-top silly bad guy for a kid show. And it was such a bizarre experience, but I pushed through. My daughter then gets a phone call. She gets the job. And then I get the phone call that I got the part. And it's just crazy that we were pushed to those limits. We both pushed through and actually succeeded at something that seemed to be a long shot that we almost didn't even do, So
and David, well, first of all, man to man, I appreciate the strength, the tenacity that it does take to push through those kind of that kind of opposition. That's true opposition in life. And to your daughter, that I got to talk to her that one night when we were setting up, and not only is she a sweetheart, she's a fighter. Obviously, she's a fighter, and so kudos to her, and please tell her that I think that's awesome that she can overcome that in the midst of that kind of turmoil that she can overcome. But the one question that I want to ask that I think would help all of the listeners right now, myself and everybody, as atheists, because we do have a different view on the loss of a loved one, because we don't believe in a heaven, we don't believe in a hell, we don't believe in this afterlife. Going through that process, and you're a former Christian, what is that like now compared to when you did hold a belief in a God and an afterlife and an eternity with or without God? What does that process look like? What's that feel like now?
Yeah, so this is one area where Christians, I think, just naturally have it easier. This is one piece of that Christian privilege that I wish we could hold on to. We would love to be able to say, like, I would love to tell you, I'm going to see my son again, and I'm all right with that. And just once you say that and believe it, you can just compartmentalize that to a place where you don't have to deal with that. And I can say, I miss him, but we'll meet again, and move on with my life. Still missing him, still thinking about him, still grieving, but there's no finality. For atheists, it's very much final. For atheists, it's we know, we know that this is it. And so it makes it harder, I think, for us. But it also creates this urgency to do the most good right now. This isn't a practice run. This isn't a drill. This isn't a fire alarm test run. This is it. This is your one shot. And there's an old episode of my show, like really old, where I talked to my daughter about death. She was really young, and several years ago. And we were watching a documentary about a guy who was doing something he had donated his body to something. He knew he was dying, and he donated his body to science for research on this thing. And there was a split second where they showed them rolling the body on this metal gurney. And I didn't even think about how that would affect her. I don't remember how old she was, maybe 8 or 10 or somewhere in there. And I remember she like pulled her knees up to her chest. She was sitting on the couch, and she pulled her knees up to the chest, and she goes, "Daddy, I don't want to die." And I didn't I didn't even know what to say to her, but I thought, whatever this conversation is, it might help other people. So let's go to the studio and talk. Do you want to record a conversation about it? And she said yes. And I went and recorded that conversation, and that episode is out there for people. I should probably go find that and repost it, considering everything that's gone on. But I explained it to her like this. I said, you know how we're at a party together, like with the family, and all the kids are dancing, and you're embarrassed. You don't want to go dance at the party. You want to, but you're scared that somebody's going to laugh at you or that you're not going to look cool. And she goes, yeah. And then I said, and then after the presents are opened and family starts hugging each other goodbye and we all start loading the car, I go tell you, you better go dance because we're about to leave and you're not going to get to do it in the car. And you say, I know, Dad, but you're still scared and you don't do it and you stand off to the side. I said, and then I tell you, the car's loaded, the car's running, your mom's in the car, we have to go. And you say, Dad, I just want to dance. And I say, okay, you have 30 seconds to dance. I said, what do you do? She goes, Daddy, I dance. And I said, and don't you have such a good time doing that? And she goes, yes, I do. And I said, this life right now, this is your 30 seconds to dance.
That's good.
Just go do it. Go live and go do it. And the only way that I know for a fact that I can tell you you can live on is in everyone's memories who meets you. So make those positive memories. That heaven that everyone talks about, that can happen in my head. That can happen in your friends' heads. That can happen in families' heads. But it's all about you creating it right now. So we can create our afterlife by being positive impacts on one another, starting right now, which is why I'm proud of my other quote, which is, you won't have a chance to make a difference after death. So be someone's guardian angel now.
Right. I was, and part of it was, I was thinking about your story, and then there's a family that I know, my family and I grew up with, that recently lost somebody that was, entirely too young to be gone, as far as we're concerned. And I was thinking about those things, and the first thing that popped in my head is, I think you'll appreciate this, even doing acting and things like that, is this: we have one movie. We have one movie to star in, so to speak, and there are no sequels. There's no sequel to this. Like, once it's over, it's over. We don't get I don't get a Oz 2 or an Oz 3. It's done. And when we're going through this life, there's so many things that we determine by what we think about and what we concentrate on, and where we put our energy. And I was telling, it was either my wife or my brother the other day, I was having a chat, and I said, all I know for me, and the humanistic standpoint that I have, if I'm good up here, and I have my thought life together, whether it's going to therapy, doing those things, like, if I'm good up here, it's good out here. Because so much is influenced on how we think and what we think about and what we concentrate on and what we put our energy into. If it's good, if I'm good here, 9 times out of 10, everything's good here. And at the end, if I live this movie and I do this movie the best I can without a sequel, I'm going to be happy.
That's a great way to put it. That really is a great way to put it. So I would love to continue sort of a behind the scenes discussion with you guys, if you don't mind. I always do, at least I try to do for the most part, a portion of the show just for patrons. And so I would love to encourage everyone to go sign up and support the show at patreon.com/David C. Smalley, where you get behind the scenes content and extra extended episodes, and you get the whole episodes, all the episodes without commercial breaks as well, and my entire archive, tons of stuff there. So the website again is patreon.com/David C. Smalley. And maybe if someone else still calls the number while we're doing that, I'll be happy to take any additional callers, but it'll just be for a much smaller audience. So if you were nervous, if you were afraid ahead of time, call when this ends, because we might still be talking. So you can chime into that. So I appreciate you guys being a part of this and helping out. I knew that it would be mostly atheists calling in. I knew that because, and that's fine with me, but I was wondering if conservative Christians would like to come in and be a part of the call. For some reason, when you guys do it without me, more Christians call in. I wonder what's going on there. Why do Christians not want to talk to me? What's the deal?
Yeah, you actually told me that backstage, and I said, you know what, David, don't worry about it, man. Don't sweat it. But you've actually got a smaller, well, let me preface this. I don't want David to cuss me out. He has a massive YouTube channel, but he's got a new YouTube channel. It's just brand new. It's like a month old. It's got a few hundred subscribers. But I looked at the stream earlier. There was more viewers in that stream than there were in ours. And I think what it is, you have quite a large atheist following. Mm-hmm. So they just want to call and chat with you. That's all. And actually, I enjoyed the calls.
Yeah, that was cool. I had a blast.
Yeah. Yep. But I also want to just piggyback off of what David said. We can end this stream. The stream can end. But David still records to his podcast. So even though the stream will no longer be live, if anyone wants to call in, this is my number, by the way, 706-236-7608. You want to chat to David? He can do a patron-only little private session where it'll just be, subject to certain people. So if you want to be part of the VIP club and call in, dial away.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Other than that, Oz, what we got going on here soon, coming up in the next few days?
Well, I know we're going to have another live show coming up, and we'll get that posted once we get the date and time finalized. But we do have a very interesting guest, Francois, not this Friday, but next Friday, from Southern Africa, theist Christian guest coming on for a Tart live show interview. So that'll be super exciting. And we got some other things in the work with some debates, some other conversations with theists. So yeah, it's going to be awesome next couple of weeks.
You're excited to talk to a he's a pastor, right, from South Africa?
Yeah. Yep.
Goodness. That makes me nervous, fellas. I don't know if I should call into that show or not. I'm scared.
Hey, it sounds a lot different on an XLR microphone. I know that. He's got all that bass coming in from that mic.
Ooh.
Gets so nervous talking to a bunch of heathens.
That's the closet pastor, John.
Confused pastor. Yeah, but we'll get into his details later. Yeah, guys, let's move this over to the Patreon portion. And on my end, let me just tell you now, if you're not going to join us at patreon.com/David C. Smalley, at least drive like you know each other.
Right. So, guys, thanks again for tuning in to the Atheist Roundtable. And we're going to say goodnight. And if you do want to join the David C. Smalley VIP Patreon-only call-in show, we're going to be available. I've heard David, actually, the rumor is, I don't know if this is true, Oz. I don't know if you can co-sign on this for me. I heard David gets a little loose with it, cracks open some of that fine bourbon and gets a cigar out and gets a little bit cheeky with it.
I don't know about cheeky, but I'm all about bourbon and the cigar. But we will be popping pimples.
Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in to the Atheist Roundtable's call-in show tonight, featuring David C. Smalley from the David C. Smalley podcast. Thanks to all the viewers and everyone who participated in the chat. Big shout out to Neil, the 604 Atheist, Alaska's finest atheist. Oh, is it what is it, Oz? Is it Newfoundland?
Yeah, somewhere up there. I just know he likes to travel multiple states away just to get ribs.
I heard that guy doesn't stop drinking. He is a beast. He's got a cast iron stomach. But big shout out to Neil and Randolph, some of Canada's best. IQ, Titan, Grumpy. Hey. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hop on over to davidcsmalley.com, tart.live. And if you haven't already, join the community. Hit that join button on the YouTube channels. Oh, I got a text message, by the way, earlier from somebody. I don't want to read their phone number out, but they said, hey, David, you can get special things to cover up those zits. And I'm assuming they mean some kind of makeup. I don't know. You might be muted, David. I'm not sure.
Sorry. Yeah. So believe it or not, there's some on there.
Oh, you do have some makeup on there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's bad.
Well, hey, look, having teenage. Yeah, we're still live for a moment.
This is the longest outro I have ever heard in my entire life. Why aren't we ending this so we can move on?
They want to hear your sexy voice, David.
Then they go to Patreon.
You know what? Hop on over. Let's go.